Thank you all for coming. My name is Bill Davis. I'm the chapter director for the Sierra Club's John Muir chapter, which covers all of the state of Wisconsin. I am pleased to be here with County Executive Joe Parisi, Doug Vogley from Public Health Madison and Dane County, Kyla Peck, of course, and Mayor Paul Soglin. And we're here to talk about clean car standards and offering our support and continued wishes that folks like Senator Baldwin continue to fight for these clean car standards. The Trump administration has started to take steps to roll these back, which would be a detriment to the city of Madison, Dane County, and the whole state of Wisconsin. These clean car standards reduce pollution, which protect our health. It also reduces climate-causing carbon pollution. Transportation is currently the largest source of carbon pollution, so reducing that pollution from cars is something that we should be doing and not taking steps backwards. It also saves money. For everyone who drives a truck or car, these standards help you every time you go to the gas pump. And I have personal experience with that, having just bought a Prius, which now gets better than 50 miles to the gallon. So I don't go to the gas station as often as I used to. So with that, I'm going to turn it over first to Dane County Executive Joe Parisi.
Thank you, Bill. So thank you for being here today. As county executive, I spent a lot of time out in various communities throughout Dane County, talking to people, listening to the things that concern them, listening to what's on their mind. And I can honestly say that never once has someone come up to me and say, you know, I wish my car got worse gas mileage. The technology is in place. It exists to get us not only the gas mileage that our vehicles get today, but to get better gas mileage in the future. When the current CAFÉ standards were put in place, they were a result of compromise and discussion between the Obama administration and U.S. automakers. And the automakers agreed to these standards. They believe it's a practical, doable piece of technology that they can do to give benefit to our community. You know, it's almost, I feel like we've gone back in time in many ways, that we're still debating something like this. CAFÉ standards and mileage standards, as they improve, save communities and consumers dollars. The dollars not spent on gas are dollars that stay in our community and in the pockets of the people who live in our community. They also cut greenhouse gases. And this is another way that sometimes we feel like we're going back in time. There are people actually debating whether or not climate change is real and whether or not it's occurring. And it's one thing to deny climate change and to do nothing about it. It's another to actually go in the opposite direction and make climate change worse, particularly when we have the technology, when it exists, when it's in our cars today, to give us better gas mileage, to cut down on CO2 emissions, and to give us cleaner air. In Dane County government, we've been aware of this and doing what we can to combat climate change for many years now. On the transportation front, we have two tacks that we take. We replace vehicles as they retire with hybrid vehicles, and in addition to that, where it's applicable, we replace our vehicles with vehicles that burn bio-CNG, compressed natural gas that we take from our landfill and compress. Now we have about 75 county vehicles that run on compressed natural gas, 13 of which are snowplows. We can do this, and we can do it in a way that not only benefits the environment, but that saves taxpayers dollars. Because the bio-CNG, for example, that we use in our snowplows costs about the equivalent of about $1.25 a gallon. And it's 90% cleaner than using fossil fuels. So we hope that people will start paying attention to this issue on the CAFÉ standards. It's something that we can do that will easily put more money in the pockets of consumers. It will cut down on greenhouse gas emissions if it's allowed to stay in place and if it's allowed to go forward as planned. So we hope that the Trump administration will rethink this policy. We believe it's backward. We see no benefit to anyone other than the oil companies. So thank you for being here today. I turn it back to you, Bill. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Next up is going to be Doug Vigelli from the Public Health Madison and Dane County.
Thank you. CAFÉ standards, as County Executive Parisi said, they're an effective tool to protect our environment and continue to improve air quality in our communities. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, new passenger vehicles are over 90% cleaner for most vehicle pollutants compared to vehicles produced in the 1960s due to pollution control efforts and the CAFÉ standards. Continuing to improve vehicle pollution and fuel-efficient standards builds on this progress and becomes increasingly vital to pollution control efforts as the number of vehicles and drivers on local, state, and interstates continues to grow, each vehicle adding another source of air pollutants that degrade air quality. This becomes a public health issue, and public health is concerned not only about the environmental degradation, but also the impact on our community's health. Exposure to poor air quality is associated with the increased risk of several adverse health conditions, such as stroke, lung cancer, and the development or exacerbation of heart and respiratory diseases such as asthma. In Dane County, we experience a high prevalence of asthma and have the 12th highest rate of hospitalization due to asthma in the state of Wisconsin. The proposed rollback of the CAFÉ standards will reduce the intended progress of the 2025 standards. This may result in an increased level of pollution and reduced air quality that has the potential to elevate the risk of development and exacerbation of pollution-related diseases. The full extent of the health impacts of the proposed rollback will be better understood following the release of the new standards in 2018, but we all know now that more pollutants in the air are never good for health.
Thank you very much. And next we'll hear from Kyla Peck from Moms Clean Air Force.
Good morning. My name is Kyla Peck, and I'm a college student and a resident of Wisconsin. I am a member of Moms Clean Air Force, a community of over 1 million members who care about clean air, children's health, and climate change. I'm here today to talk about the proposal by Scott Pruitt to roll back important vehicle fuel economy and carbon pollution standards. I have lived with severe asthma since I was born. Asthma has impacted my life every single day due to things like air quality, pollution, and temperature. Growing up in Chicago, I knew that pollution caused by cars and trucks on the road would make it more difficult for me to participate in summer activities. My summers would be spent worrying my parents and caretakers about smog and how it affected my asthma. At times, I could walk out of my home and breathe in the air and know right away I wouldn't be able to participate in physical activities for that day. Tailpipe pollution reduces air quality and can be a trigger for people like me who have asthma. It also makes climate change worse. Rolling back these pollution protections will only increase dirty air, like smog and ground level ozone, and other pollutants in the air that trigger negative public health impacts, like asthma attacks, heart attacks, and aggravation of chronic lung issues. There are 16 million Americans, including 7 million children, who suffer from asthma. Incidences of asthma increase in urban environments where there is more traffic pollution, and mostly in communities that are under-resourced in dealing with this disease. Because I care about air quality, I want the car I drive to be fuel efficient and less polluting. The standards that we are here talking about today will ensure that I can have a car that can get me to all the things that I need to do as a college student with a job while saving money at the pump and protecting the environment and really my ability to breathe. These standards will help to create an environment that will help every citizen of Wisconsin to breathe easier. It will help decrease new asthma cases in children, and it will help create a safer breathing environment for people like me. These standards will also make competition and innovation even greater in the automotive industry, which can create more jobs here in Wisconsin in the future. If I decide to settle in Wisconsin after college, protecting these standards and helping job growth by putting money back into the state's economy will be great for students like me after graduation. It makes common sense to me. Saving the environment, saving money, and helping our state's economy are good reasons to help keep these critical protections in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyla. And next up is Madison Mayor Paul Soglin.
Thank you. As a city, we're working to fight the rollback of the higher CAFÉ standards. There are economic and health issues which are of great concern from municipalities from one coast to the other. Outside, there are several vehicles which are presently part of the city fleet, which are either electric or highly fuel efficient. In a couple of years, we will be rolling out our first all-electric buses. And we envision the day when the city of Madison will have an all-electric fleet fueled by a solar farm. You can imagine the difference that makes with the elimination of carbon-fueled vehicles and the pollution that comes from the internal combustion engine. The health issues for our children, the challenges of global warming, climate change, are something we have to deal with immediacy. To have a federal government which does not acknowledge the challenges for our planet does not mean we have to recede into the lowest standards in regards to the health of the people we serve. And so the city of Madison will continue unwavering in its plans to add more and more fuel-efficient vehicles to our fleet and to ensure a better climate, a better environment, a better, healthy community. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all four of our speakers, and I would also, at this point, like to just let you know that after we are done here in a sec, all of our speakers will be available for individual interviews if you want to chat with them further instead of trying to do questions from the podium. But I would also right now like to introduce Mahat, who's right behind there, who is with Fleet Services and can actually, if you have questions about the cars that are out front, he's your man. So you want to say a few words?
So what we have parked right outside on the sidewalk here, which we can go and look at, we have a Ford Escape Hybrid, which is an SUV made by Ford. And this model gets about approximately 30 miles per gallon, which is a lot better than most SUVs. We also have a Honda Fit, which is a smaller car, as you'll notice. It's one of the bright cars outside, so you can't miss it. The Fit probably gets in the mid-30 range on average. And then we have a Honda Civic Hybrid, which is another gas-electric hybrid. Honda has been making these for a long time, along with Toyota, and the Prius was mentioned before. These are very good cars. They're very dependable. They cost less to maintain. When you sell them at the end of their life cycle, they also get more value for the fleets that own them. So all three of these vehicles, we can go outside and take a look if you'd like. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Very much. And thank you all for coming. I think that will pretty much wrap things up. Again, we are just calling on our elected officials to continue to support these very important clean car standards to protect both our health and to improve the economy in Madison, Dane County, and Wisconsin.